It's been a while since I last made a video. It's been over 2.5 years. Actually, that's not completely true. It's been 2.5 years since I last published a video. I did actually make some more, but I never got around... Well, never got around to it is not actually true. I didn't manage to get them onto YouTube. I'd edited some of them. I'd almost got them, I think, ready to go, and kind of never really felt that I'd suddenly done a good enough job. I suddenly became very concerned about, whether I was doing anything useful, whether the videos were any good, whether anyone would like them, and that kind of thing. And I suppose really, also there were, a number of other things which caused me to have a bit of a break. But I noticed there were quite a few comments still kept coming in on those videos, one of which even offered their good wishes, because they had assumed that obviously the fact that I'd left a to be continued video with no follow-up clearly meant that I had come to some unfortunate end, and therefore they made the comment that I should rest in peace, which is very kind of them. If they really meant that, I doubt if they did. So yes, it's been a while, and what has happened since then? Well, I'm in need of more disk space. And that's pretty much the thing about storage. There's just too much is never enough. So when you've got 43 terabytes of storage across two little Drobos there, and when you have another 43 terabytes in loose drives and things like that, and you're still running out of disk space, what do? What is the thing to do? Well, the answer is you buy some more. This is probably not the best use of my time. People might say to me, and why don't you just try deleting a file here and there, now and again? That might help, and, I try that occasionally, but basically deleting files is for wusses. So, what am I going to be doing here? Well, Seagate. Yes, I know, Seagate drives, and people put their hands up in horror and say, oh, terrible, unreliable, and awful, and all that kind of jazz, and... I understand. I kind of agree in some ways. Not because of, reliability. I haven't had too much problem in that regard. Of course, the real problem with Seagate drives is perhaps not quite so much their reliability, but the technology of them, especially their external drives. And unfortunately now, an increasing number of their internal drives, they use SMR, shingled magnetic recording, which means that they are terrible for using things like your Drobo. They're really unsuitable for data that you're going to be accessing a lot, changing frequently. They are terrible for that. They're just no good for it whatsoever. If you just need a load of hard archive, cold storage, stuff you're going to write once and then almost forget about, and very rarely wipe and want to use again or rewrite, an SMR, perhaps not quite so bad, and of course the price is right, which has led to an interesting thing. This Seagate 6 terabyte drive, there is undoubtedly an SMR drive in here, so all those previous caveats apply. But the interesting thing is the price. This is 6 terabytes for what is about at the moment 105 UK pounds. That's quite cheap. That's alarmingly cheap. It's kind of what you would expect to pay for a 4 terabyte drive. So 6 terabytes for that kind of price, that's not bad. But this is an SMR drive. So if I was planning on opening this up and taking out the drive inside and using it somewhere else, again, I'll tell you more about that later, then that would be a really poor decision. But the interesting thing is, it seems that Seagate, in bringing all of these low-cost drives onto the market, have kind of caused other manufacturers not necessarily to follow suit with similar kind of technology, but they've just flat out dropped their prices. So you have that SMR drive for 105, but suddenly these Western Digital external drives suddenly have come down in price rather dramatically, and as far as I'm aware, and once I start proceeding in a manner which is loud and confident, I will almost inevitably be wrong. But as far as I know, at the moment, Western Digital don't do SMR drives. So, what are they to do? Are they going to keep the price of these 6 terabyte external drives at a higher level to reflect the superior technology of the drive in terms of being not SMR? Or are they basically going to see all their market share going to Seagate, and they're going to say, we can't have that, we've got to have our drives at the same kind of price? And it turns out that seems to be what WD are doing. So again, here in the UK, these 6TB drives are about £110. Now compare that to a bare 6TB hard drive. At the moment in the UK, you would pay about £165. So these drives, I've got two of them, as you can see. I got these on Amazon the other day. They were approximately £110. So, there's a significant saving here. You're looking at more than £50 cost difference per drive, if the drives inside these things are any good and if they can be cooled out. So 6, 12, 18 and another 20 equals 38 terabytes. So, hopefully that will keep me going for a little while, and that will be something for a future video. But anyone who was wondering about the fate of the Drobos, well, they both still seem to be running just about. I very nearly lost everything on that one, but due to some very ill-advised hard drive swapping, which, again, I will tell you the rest of that story a little bit later. I've got the footage. I pointed my camera at it while I was doing it, and say, it would have been a couple of years ago now, but I did at least chronicle it, so I'll tell you the story and I'll show you the same mistakes I made, so that perhaps you won't make the same. The other upcoming tale, I suppose, that I could talk about is my Drobo, this is what, DB800FS or something like that, and this has got a really curious thing going on, in that when I've put drives in it and turned it on and formatted it and all that, it all seems to be working fine. You think, oh great, The problem with this is that it runs fine as long as you're not actually writing to it, which is obviously a bit of a failure in a network attached storage device. And once you start writing to it in anger, it puts up with it for a little while and then it just powers off. Is it some kind of electrical problem? Is it a software problem? I've tried this every which way from Sunday and I don't seem to be able to get this working reliably. I mean, I didn't pay top dollar for this. I think it's about 100, 200 quid cheaper than buying it new. It was technically second hand. If I can work out what is wrong with this, whether it's, something ridiculous and analog, like, oh, it needs new capacitors in the power supply and all that kind of thing that people more skilled with a soldering iron than I would know how to fix, then okay, that's good. If I'll entertain that and fix that if I can. If it's something more complicated like software, and everybody at Drobo Inc. Incorporated is going to be shrugging their shoulders and saying, no sir, not currently supported, maybe we can interest you in a new model, then that won't be quite so good and that won't be quite so useful. So that also will be the subject of another video. So as I say, there's not really much here, I'm afraid. I haven't got an awful lot to really talk about this time, but I've got some ideas, as I say, for future videos, if there is anyone still out there and still watching. So, thank you if you are. That's rather more patience than I deserve, really, but thank you very much. So, I just wanted to say hello, and thanks for bearing with me, and I'll be back soon.